The same thing that happened to Albert Ojwang could happen to Diangui. That's the issue I have right now. Police action, away even from the politics of it.
Well, that's why I said there are people who have been given a responsibility in each area. And people should take responsibility and be responsible for the actions that they take in their own position. When they say he's a person of interest, I am not a police spokesman, so I'll not come here and say, I know he's in police custody or I don't know whether he's in police custody, but he's a Kenyan. A Kenyan that we have many, many, many systems within government that can be able to say or to tell where this young man is. So sometimes I would say it's rather you keep quiet rather than say something. And I think even in the case of Ojwang, we saw the police being coming out in the front, giving statements, then retrieving, saying we didn't mean. So I would just say, let us not be quick to speak. And as we speak, let us say the truth, because it is very sad affair when you will come and say we don't know or we know, and then it end up, then this young man was in police custody. And I know even my colleague has mentioned the case of the Justice Muturi's son. I've never heard the president saying his side of the story, but I've heard the side of the story of Muturi. And it's not about him because, yes, the father was in the cabinet. And so you would have expected maybe the people he called, the phones they would have picked or they would have given him answers. And saying a pain of the parent, looking for a child that you don't know where they are. But at the end of the day, it is not about who your father is or who your mother is, but you are Kenyan. And every Kenyan needs and deserves to be treated equally and to be taken care of. Right. But we also, as we demand for this space to be taken care of, and for security and everything else, I think everybody needs to take a responsibility. As a good citizen, if I decide I want to go and picket, then I also do not have a right to go ban the police stations or ban the police vehicles or stone. And I think the best lesson I learned last week was the lesson of the mother and son who met in the streets. The mother is a police lady or a police officer, and the son had gone for maandamano. Can you imagine if the son was in a group and then that the mother is the one who was being stoned? Okay. So it can happen to any of us, whether you are police, whether you are civilian, whether you are a young person or an old person. I think it's the right time that we take responsibility. And even the freedoms that we have and we are enjoying, let us not misuse them. And finally, we ourselves as the people in the leadership, let us not take advantage of the situation that we have in Kenya. I know it has been repeated a million times. I will repeat for 1,000,001 times that we only have one country. And if this country burns, we are all in it.
Okay.
And there are things, last time I think by the time I was finishing this show, I said, there are things we would say either to become popular, because we know there are people also who have taken advantage. They're the ones who cry more than they believed. But we know they are only taking advantage of the situation. But let me tell you, God knows our hearts, and I said that last time. Okay. You who has taken advantage of these young people, you who has a responsibility to take care of Kenyans, or you've been given a responsibility, a job that you're not doing well, God is saying, because at the end of the day, I have said, Kenya is one. Okay. If tomorrow Kenya bans, even you not manage to even get here.
And before I move from you, because I want this conversation to move to something else, there's what the CS said last week, which has caused elicited a lot of reactions, and I want your take on CS Murkomen's pronouncements about shoot to kill order to the police.
Last time I said we have become very reckless with what we are saying. And one aspect of a good leader is humility. The other aspect of a good leader is to watch what you say. Because shoot to kill orders, nobody deserves to take a life of the other person. And even for this police, for instance, I don't know what would have happened to those young people. There are ways that you can be able to immobilize somebody. Because yes, if a policeman is armed and their life is in danger, that is the only reason that they are allowed to use the gun. But use the gun to shoot somebody on the head, you can demobilize somebody on the feet, you can be demobilized. There are several ways that you can be able to do it. If you find somebody stealing or breaking into a shop, and if they don't have a gun, why would you shoot to kill? There are several ways that we can be able to handle it. So I have said, as leaders, let us not fuel or put on, the fire in this nation. Already people are not satisfied. I think if we have anything that we can measure the level of happiness in Kenyans, everybody from their homes, the ones who are married couples or single ladies, from our children, the level of happiness, I think, is not really up. There are many other things that are frustrating us. Maybe we as parents, and especially our age, you know, we used to be beaten up by our parents. That's not how we brought up our children.
Okay.
And at the same time, so our children has come to a point where parents would wish their children to be in school more than for them to be at home. Because even them, they don't know how to handle. And I would want to call upon all organizations, and especially the church. I think almost 70% of Kenyans are Christians. Can the church even start having parenting classes?
Okay.
Because what you are seeing on the streets, what you can see even in organizations, if people are employers, they will tell you even when you employ these young people, we need to start parenting classes and just to tell our parents, how do we handle it?
Okay.
I think I never went through a parenting class. I have my children, I have 3, but nobody told me this is how to deal with them.
All right.
And I think the same parents, where we are so afraid of having our children at home, we want them to stay in boarding school, is that the same thing now we get into the offices, we don't know how to handle them.
All right.
They come to the streets, we don't know how to handle them. But I saw, and I want to give my experience last weekend, I had more than 3,000 youth, and we had a worship experience, and we had an issue we were discussing about gender-based violence, about femicide, and about relationship, mental health in Murang'a County. We had a panelist. I was privileged to have a panelist, even the Lady Justice Jokindogo was there, and several other people who are experts in mental health. I saw young people talk. I saw young people express themselves. And there were also the older generation that sat there, somebody like Diana Kamanda sharing her own experience and what she went through. A lady called Mary Ben telling them, this is what I went through for 7 years. Okay. And I saw young people who are eager to learn, who want also to be taught. But are we out there to teach our children?
Thank you for
or are we inciting them?
Meanwhile, the court has ordered IG of Police Douglas Kanja and Director of Criminal Investigations Mohammed Amin to produce in court the online commentator and IT expert Ndiangui Kinyagia. As we continue to explore